I'm saying hi. I don't want anybody to get, like, what is it, just this for a while? Yeah, no, the set's coming up. It's fucking awesome. It's 100% fresh, Rotten Tomatoes. You're going to love it. Everybody's been having a great time. It's great. I'm just warming up. So, you get to know me, I get to know you, that kind of thing. And but before I do get into the actual set, I do first want to address the tragic events that occurred, just to address them, acknowledge them, whatever. There's obviously nothing funny about it. The terrorist bombings were awful, and the terrorist bombings that took place at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics were awful. The loss of life was staggering, and they were terrible, but I believe you have to find a silver lining in everything. And as awful as they were, I do think that the 2024 U.S. Paralympic team should have a very strong showing. Too soon? Too soon? It's too soon. Really bothers him. And just maybe add the clapping to it. Whee! And then, and also, yeah, they have them in D.C., which I just did like last week, and it did the same thing there. And when I was in D.C., and if you ever get a chance to go, it's the city itself is not. One thing that's cool about D.C. is like only good things come from there, and there's just decent people wherever you walk. And but the museums are amazing. They truly are. But the first thing I always do when I get to D.C., and I did it this time as well, is I always go and pay my respects to the tomb of the unknown lobbyist. And it's great. And except they have this weird rule. When you go into the room, you have to take your shoes off before you enter, which is weird. You don't have to do that anywhere else. And I asked the guy, why do I have to take my shoes off to come in here? And he said, is at night when she's sleeping, I quietly go into her bedroom and I click on the little white noise machine that replicates the sound of the human heart, and then I tell her these things. I whisper. So I go, Marlo, there is no God. Bernie would have won. Sometimes feminists can be their own worst enemies. Things are important that will be helpful. Just sticking around, whatever. And I saw this story that said AIDS was started by a monkey. And I hope it wasn't Michael Nesmith, because he's really the most talented one. He wrote all the songs. When we think fondly of the Monkees catalog, it's... Too late. First joke was too... I do believe this, though, sincerely. I truly think that having a kid is one of the most narcissistic things a person can do. I believe that. I do believe that. And I don't think it's a conscious decision that people have. I think it's this subconscious thing that's in the back of everyone's head, which is this idea of, I like me. I think there should be more of me in the world. Look at that shitty lady with her shitty kids. I gotta balance this out. And I know there's a lot of different reasons people say they want to have kids. I want unconditional love, and I want a buddy. And where I'm from in the South, I think people have kids for practical reasons. They can sort of look ahead into the future and pragmatically, realize, well, this emphysema ain't gonna cure itself, and my diabetes is getting pretty bad, and pretty soon I'm gonna out-fat this rascal I'm sitting on, and I'm gonna out-fat it. I'm gonna have to get into the bed for the rest of my days, and hell, I'm gonna need somebody to go down to the liquor store and get my Pall Mall unfiltered, so I best get to fucking, you know. Sure, ask. And you know, I believe that at least relatively, I'm a good, decent person with good values and good morals, and my wife is as well, and I want to instill those lessons and values into my daughter and teach her what I think. But I also know that I am cynical, I'm jaded, I'm skeptical, I'm an atheist prone to bouts of depression. I have a jaundiced worldview, you know, because I use my eyeballs and my ears. And, you know, and I just know what I know, but I want to tell these things to my daughter, but I can't just tell her all the things that I believe and I know, because, I mean, that's borderline child abuse. You can't say that to a little kid. I'm not going to be able to sit her down when she's like 4 years old and go, all right, honey, come on, let's go get something to eat, and then we'll go to the playground and we'll go on the swings. And you know what? You're 4 years old. I think you're old enough to know this. Honey, you were born to a deeply and shamefully racist country, acquired through genocide and built by slave labor. Its apocryphal history, a crumbling muddle of lies and deceits. And sweetheart, this profoundly shallow society you are now a part of is fueled by crass consumerism and narcissism and petty tribalism, and it worships money and status and places the appearance of being right above basic human dignity. And Peanut, your leaders are duplicitous hypocrites who cynically use religion and nationalism to easily manipulate ignorant and fearful. Here comes the airplane. That shit's not up for debate, you know, but I can't just tell her that stuff. But there are things I want her to know that I think are important for her to know as she tries, especially if she's going to be raised in part by my wife and I. My wife is a staunch, very vocal feminist, meaning she won't shut the fuck up about it. And she's an amazing woman doing amazing work, and she's really incredible. And we're different people, you know, basically. And we had very different upbringings, you know. She comes from a loving family. So, and, you know, I had a pretty shitty childhood in Roswell, Georgia, and she's from Santa Monica, born and raised Santa Monica, California, and I which I can't stand. I don't like Santa Monica. I have a general dislike for LA, but if I had a laser focus on a place, it's fucking Santa Monica that I hate. I can deal with the rest of LA. Santa Monica fucking bugs me, and it drives me up a wall because it's got all this faux progressive bullshit. They act like they're so progressive and liberal and advanced, and they're not. They're not progressive. They act like they're so diverse. They're not diverse. Santa Monica? No. The most diversity you'll see in Santa Monica is the lettuce selection at the Whole Foods salad bar. That's it. You know, it's just varying degrees of pale to tan. That's how diverse it gets over there. And then mixed with that is this weird aggro bullshit beach vibe that everybody, you know, Venice and Santa Monica has, where it's like, you know, you walk into the coffee place and there's always some like sunburnt dude in a Sarapa and a three-legged pit bull playing, you know, Coldplay on a ukulele, and you truly can't tell if he's homeless or a .com millionaire. You have no fucking clue. You don't know. You don't know. And you're walking by and the guy's like, you know, hey bro, why don't you smile? Don't cost nothing. Like fuck you, and that dumb hippie bullshit. Oh. And that's like your experience 60% of your waking hours at Santa Monica and Venice. And I remember being a kid, you know, being a young boy in Roswell and going home from school, cutting through the woods to go to the apartment complex I lived in and getting jumped and beat up by some kids and, you know, yelling anti-Semitic shit. And I remember laying on the ground, getting beat up. We are taking her in for a 1-year physical, which means obviously my wife and I have had the big discussion, and we have decided to let her live. And I'm gonna drill that into her head. I'm gonna tell her that repeatedly. Every day, I'm gonna make sure she knows that. Because when she's like 5 years old and she's having a tantrum, I want her to be able to repeat that out loud in a public place so that she knows it, and we're at the airport and we gotta get on the flight and she's having a tantrum. Like, hey, stop it. Hey, what did Daddy tell you? What did Daddy tell you? You let me live? Yeah, that's right, exactly. Not like the others? Yeah, exactly. Now, come on, we gotta get on the plane. Come on, seriously. You wanna go meet your sister or brother? I don't know, we never found out. Let's go. Let's go. I truly believe that a kid is never too young to learn about abortion.